What was it like for you playing the real life person instead of the characters that you might have played in other movies?
It was probably the most emotional thing I've ever gone through in my career, certainly. I think that I've never played a real person, certainly not someone who went through something this intense. And with the political landscape around it, I just needed to go to the source and get the information. So everybody asked what was the hardest thing. Was it sort of training or doing the action scenes? Without a doubt, I think for all of us, it was the responsibility, carrying the responsibility of, playing these guys and telling the story. I don't think any of us had any intention of telling the movie version of this. We wanted to tell the real story. And so we had to go right to the source. I was lucky enough to meet the real Jack, who was more than generous. He was the most kind, unassuming guy. And as much as I admired him for who he was as a military man, I got to see the real man. I got to see a husband. I got to see a father who was so tremendous, a participant in this small community. And it really was this whole new emotional plug-in for me of what it is that these men and women do when they go off to serve and how much we really owe them. I come from a military family, and I thought I knew what I was saying when I said I support the troops. And it's a whole new thing for me to have this emotional experience with these guys. So I thought I knew everything there was to know about Benghazi. I watched the news, I read the newspaper, and I was embarrassed that I didn't know anything about this. And so to be a part of the story that acknowledges these men for the first time in a real way, I don't think I've ever been more proud.
So I want to end on a little bit of a lighter note too, okay? How you keep in such good shape?
Well, by getting in shape first. You got to get in shape to stay in such good shape. This experience for me was so crazy because I know it's crazy, but I didn't look like that on The Office. And so, doing the workouts were pretty brutal. But, the fun thing was once you get to a certain point, maintaining is actually pretty easy. So you cut your workload by, a third to a half, and you're still maintaining this thing because your body takes over, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah,
but I think that at the end of the day, it was really fun. I never thought I'd say it, but I got to love it.
Yeah.
I got to really love the science behind it and getting strong and picking up my daughter without having back spasm. That's always nice.
Yeah, that is very nice.
Yeah.
And so my question was that I heard you and your wife, Emily Blunt, she's also doing a very intense movie right now. So I want to know what it was like in your household with both of you coming home with this intense material on your hands.
Well, she did it first, right? So she did a movie called Edge of Tomorrow where she got in shape. And then she did Sicario, which was a pretty unbelievable movie. It's my favorite movie of the year. I'm not being biased. And so I actually did this movie after that. So listen, my wife is my inspiration in every single category, every single day. But watching her, the dedication it took, I didn't have that 3 weeks of, man, this is really tough, because I got to see how hard she worked. And so she inspired me to do the same thing. I just prayed she didn't have a nightmare, because when she was training her fight training, I was like, please don't have a nightmare, please don't have a nightmare.